We live in a world that seems designed to make us angry. Traffic jams, rude people, unfair situations, social media arguments, work stress. Everywhere we turn, something is trying to steal our peace. And when we get angry, we don't just hurt others, we hurt ourselves. Our health suffers, our relationships crumble, and our happiness disappears. But what if I told you that you have complete control over your anger, no matter what happens around you? This story will show you a simple but powerful technique that can transform how you respond to life's frustrations forever. In Austin, Texas, lived a high-energy marketing executive named Rachel. She was 32 years old, incredibly successful at her job, but had one major problem. She had a terrible temper. The smallest things would set her off. A slow driver in traffic would make her scream in her car. A coworker missing a deadline would cause her to send angry emails. A rude customer service representative would ruin her entire day. Rachel's anger was affecting every area of her life. Her husband, Mark, was getting tired of walking on eggshells around her. "Rachel, you get upset about everything," he would say. "I never know what's going to set you off next." Her team at work had started avoiding her when she was in one of her moods. Her assistant, Kelly, once said to another coworker, "I can tell what kind of day it's going to be just by looking at Rachel's face when she walks in." But Rachel felt justified in her anger. "I'm not unreasonable," she would tell herself. "People are just inconsiderate and incompetent. If they would just do their jobs properly, I wouldn't have to get upset." The breaking point came during a particularly stressful week at work. Rachel's team was launching a major campaign, and everything seemed to be going wrong. The graphic designer was late with the visuals. The copywriter had made several mistakes, and the client kept changing their requirements. On Friday afternoon, Rachel completely lost it. During a team meeting, she yelled at her entire staff, criticizing their work and questioning their competence. The room went silent. Two of her team members had tears in their eyes. After the meeting, Rachel's boss, Jennifer, called her into her office. "Rachel, we need to talk." Jennifer said seriously, "Your anger is becoming a problem. You're a brilliant marketer, but your temper is creating a toxic work environment. Several team members have complained to HR." Rachel felt defensive. "Jennifer, I'm just trying to maintain standards. If people would just do quality work." "Stop," Jennifer interrupted. "I'm going to be direct with you. You have two choices. You can get help managing your anger, or you can find another job. This behavior is unacceptable." That weekend, Rachel was devastated. She realized her anger was destroying her career and her relationships, but she didn't know how to change. She felt like her emotions controlled her, not the other way around. Mark suggested she visit his grandmother, Dorothy, who lived in a senior community nearby. Dorothy was 78 years old and had a reputation for being the wisest and most peaceful person anyone knew. Despite facing many hardships in her life, losing her husband young, raising 3 children alone, battling cancer twice, Dorothy never seemed to get angry or upset about anything. "Maybe Grandma Dorothy can give you some perspective," Mark said. Rachel was skeptical but desperate, so she agreed to visit. Dorothy welcomed Rachel warmly and invited her to sit in her small kitchen. "Let me make you some tea, dear," she said, putting a kettle on the stove. As they waited for the water to boil, Rachel poured out her frustrations. She told Dorothy about work, about her anger problems, about feeling like she couldn't control her emotions. Dorothy listened patiently, nodding occasionally but not offering advice. When the kettle whistled, she poured the hot water into 2 delicate china teacups. "Rachel," Dorothy said, handing her a cup, "I want you to do something for me. I want you to hold this teacup and shake it as hard as you can." Rachel looked confused. "What? Why would I do that?" "Just trust me. Shake the teacup." Rachel gently shook the cup. being careful not to spill the hot tea. "No, no," Dorothy said. "Really shake it, as hard as you can." Rachel shook it more vigorously, and hot tea splashed out onto her hand and the table. "Ow!" she said, setting the cup down quickly. Dorothy smiled gently. "What happened?" "The tea spilled out and burned me," Rachel replied, wiping her hand. "And why did the tea spill out?" Rachel looked at Dorothy like she was asking an obvious question. "Because I was shaking the cup." "Are you sure?" Dorothy asked. "Let me show you something." Dorothy picked up her own teacup and began shaking it just as vigorously as Rachel had, but nothing spilled out. Rachel stared in amazement. "How is that possible?" Dorothy set down her cup and smiled. "Look inside." Rachel peered into Dorothy's cup and saw that it was empty. There was no tea to spill. "Rachel," Dorothy said softly, "the shaking didn't make the tea spill. The tea was already in the cup. The shaking just revealed what was inside." Rachel felt something click in her mind, but she wasn't sure she understood. Dorothy continued, "When life shakes you, when people are rude, when things go wrong, when you face difficulties, you don't get angry because of what's happening outside. You get angry because of what's already inside you." Rachel sat quietly, processing this idea. "Think about it," Dorothy said. "Two people can experience the exact same frustrating situation. One person gets furious, while the other stays calm. The situation is the same, but their reactions are different. Why? Because they have different things inside them?" Rachel said slowly. "Exactly. The person who gets angry has anger already stored inside them, waiting to spill out when life shakes them. The person who stays calm has cultivated peace inside themselves." Dorothy refilled her teacup and offered to refill Rachel's. "Most people think anger management is about controlling your reactions after you get upset. But that's like trying to stop tea from spilling after you've already started shaking the cup. The real secret is changing what's inside the cup before life shakes it." "But how do I do that?" Rachel asked. Dorothy smiled. "The same way you fill a teacup, drop by drop, day by day. Every morning, you can choose what to put into your emotional cup. You can fill it with gratitude instead of complaints. You can fill it with patience instead of impatience. You can fill it with understanding instead of judgment." Over the next hour, Dorothy taught Rachel specific techniques. She showed her how to start each day by mentally filling her cup with positive emotions like gratitude and patience. She taught her to pause when feeling upset and ask, "What's in my cup right now?" The next week at work, Rachel put Dorothy's lessons into practice. When the graphic designer was late with a project, she felt the familiar urge to get angry. But instead of reacting, she paused and asked herself, "What's in my cup right now?" She realized her cup was full of stress from earlier in the day. So she took deep breaths, emptied those negative emotions, and filled her cup with understanding. When she approached the designer, her response was completely different. "Hey Mike, I noticed the project is running behind. Is there anything I can do to help?" Mike was surprised by her calm tone, and they had a productive conversation that solved the problem. Over the following months, Rachel's relationships improved dramatically. She faced the same frustrating situations, but her responses were completely different. She had learned to manage what went into her emotional cup, not just what came out. A year later, Rachel was promoted to director, partly because of her improved leadership style. During her acceptance speech, she said, "I used to think controlling anger meant suppressing it. Now I know real emotional control means choosing what emotions to cultivate before challenging situations arise." The truth is, life will always shake your cup. People will be rude. Traffic will be slow. Things will go wrong. You can't control the shaking, but you have complete control over what's in your cup when it gets shaken. Every morning, you have a choice. You can fill your emotional cup with anger, impatience, and criticism, and then wonder why you explode when life gets difficult. Or you can intentionally fill it with peace, patience, and understanding, so that even when you're shaken, what spills out makes the world a little better instead of worse. What are you putting in your cup today? And what do you want to spill out when life shakes you? If this story helped you understand anger in a new way, give it a like and share what you want to fill your emotional cup with in the comments. Remember, you can't control the shake, but you can always control what's in the cup.